Hello everybody, me Mudahar, and we got to talk about No Man's Sky. So, a week ago I posted a video, 40-something odd minute video with a fucked up ending apparently. I'm really sorry for that. I think it was an issue on YouTube's processing part. But in the video I enjoyed the hell out of No Man's Sky, and I still do, but we're going to talk about a glaring little issue that I've been having with this game, and sort of with the community sort of surrounding it as well. So let's go into the No Man's Sky rant or No Man's Sky video, whatever you want to call it, or the follow-up to No Man's Sky. So, as many people know, if you've been following me on Twitter, I had gotten No Man's Sky before it was released. I had picked up a copy before the game had officially launched. The game didn't have review codes or review copies sent out to any of the major publications, so I was one of the many few hundred thousands of people that had gotten the game earlier for the PlayStation 4. And I played the ever-living shit out of it. I was playing on version 1.0 for about 3 days, which, I won't lie, I heavily enjoyed the game. I was stuck onto it. I was playing the ever-living shit, and 3 days into it, I got version 1.03, which is what most of you are playing, hopefully, if you're connected to the internet and had downloaded the day one patch, or you're playing on the PC version, I assume. I enjoyed the game then, and my first actual experience of 1.03 was actually that video that was released last week, and of course I was enjoying the ever-living shit out of the game. Now, my history with No Man's Sky is very sparse. I was never hyped for the game. I was never crazy behind it. I never really looked at a lot of the game videos that were released by both Hello Games or IGN or any of the major publications. I got to see a first look on the game. I saw the E3 trailer initially, where they explore this planet with T-Rexes walking around, they get into their ship, fly out, and that's it. That's all I really saw of No Man's Sky. So I wasn't hyped for the game, I didn't really care. And for me, a lot of people were like, this was the biggest space sim in a while. Not really. For me, I played a bunch of other space sims before this. I was getting into the X series, getting right into the X series, which I do enjoy. I played a lot of Elite Dangerous, both on my Xbox One and on the PC. That is a game that I do enjoy. That really does give me the Elite 2 heebie-jeebies, and I can't believe I used the word heebie-jeebies. But I also played a bit of Star Citizen's Alpha. So I've been playing a lot of space sims. So No Man's Sky is nothing new to me. I played the hell out of many space sims. If you're a PC gamer and also a space sim enthusiast, you will know that there are plenty of options for you to pick. So No Man's Sky isn't exactly the game out there that you need to go out and fucking get if this is your fix. But what No Man's Sky is it's a casual version of those games, and I'm saying casual because the mechanics are a lot more easier to digest. The space flying is way more consolidated. You're not dealing with... If you play Elite Dangerous and then play No Man's Sky and tell me if the ships fly the same at all. They don't. No Man's Sky is much easier. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's what made the game more enjoyable to me, to playing these long bursts when the game wasn't released or when the game was officially released, for the last week that I've been playing it. But lately, for the past 2 days that I've been playing this game, No Man's Sky, I don't know how to feel about it anymore. It's honestly one of those games that to me does not have any bit of content past a few hours of enjoyment, at least for me. Now, when I say a few hours, of course, at this point, I've probably played about 20-something hours of No Man's Sky. I've played a hell of the game, but out of all of my 20 hours, I have not seen much different. Now, there are 4 pillars to the game, and that's how I'm going to structure this video. There's 4 pillars, and which is what this Reddit article gives off. The 4 pillars are, as the, creators explain, Sean Murray or Hello Games, is explore, fight, trade, and survive. All of those sound like the really, really amazing concepts, right? Getting to explore and survive in space along with fighting and trading. Those are concepts that are interesting in space. We've seen them done well in space. If you play any of the aforementioned space sims that I mentioned, they all have these elements. Now, let's go into how I felt about all these myself. So, exploration. No Man's Sky is wonderful when it comes to exploration. There's a lot of different planets for you to find, tons of planets. When I was playing on version 1.0, the galaxy was 10 times smaller than it was advertised apparently in version 1.03. And the planets, they all have a little different bit of feel to them. And when you land on the planets, and trust me, you can land on the planets anywhere you want. These are full-size planets, okay? Some are huge, some are bigger than our planet, some are smaller than our planet. You can fucking land on the moons even. So it's a big world. It's a very big world. Now, to land on the planet, one of the big selling points is all these planets are procedurally generated, and they're generated using this super formula by Hello Games, where they have created this amazing formula which not only procedurally generates the size of the planets, it generates the terrain the planets use, the different kinds of storms, the biomes even. It's a pretty intense super formula. Not only does the super formula create these planets, but it also generates the life or the flora, fauna of the planets, and it's always intended to be unique each time. And I'm going to be honest here, it is unique every time. There are different planets, but there is a glaring omission. Out of every planet that I've explored, I will say in my 20 hours, there have been some planets that have blown my mind with how beautiful they look. I landed on a moon where it was, I'm kicking myself in the head for not recording it. I got a screen cap of it on my computer somewhere, of a planet with these blue fields that were just flowing, and you could go around. There was lakes. It was honestly one of the most beautiful planets I've landed on, and it's one of those rare occasions, for me at least, in No Man's Sky, where I get on a planet, I get out of my ship, and I walk around, and I'm like, wow, this game is fucking beautiful. But most of the planets that I've explored personally are just lifeless rocks, or, you know, they don't have any grass, they don't have any flora, fauna, it's just different colors of fucking rock. And sometimes you'll come across these giant cave systems, which, I'll get to this in a bit, you know, there's no reason to explore. For me, No Man's Sky, you land on a planet, you just sightsee for a bit, and that's about really it. There are a few planets that you'll land on which are really beautiful to look at, but 90%, I'll say, are planets that you'll land on, you'll look around, and you'll be like, well, this is pretty fucking boring, let's get back into our ship and fly off somewhere else. That's just my opinion. Now, on the planets, there's a lot to do, and I'll tell you what it is. Basically, when you land on the planets, you can mine the planet for resources, which there are plenty of different types of resources. There's a whole periodic table in the game dedicated to all the different resources. And using these resources, you can, of course, craft better upgrades for yourself. You can craft new ship components, new exosuit components, new tools that you can use to help explore, and so on and so forth. Now, to get these items, you have to hunt around for different life forms that you'll find, which again, all the life forms are procedurally generated, and of course, like the planets, there are only so many different types of generated Iglamals you can find before they eventually become pretty repetitive. So you go talk to these things, or you find these abandoned factories, or these abandoned, you know, areas, or these manufacturing facilities in the game where you bust in and you grab a component out of them, and half the time you'll find a component. Honestly, 5% of my playthrough, I found a component that actually was really different. Most of the times, you'll find these components which are just bonus additional sort of upgrades to your current components. Like you'll find, for example, you'll get a beam coolant, but then the next few upgrades will be like beam coolant alpha, beam coolant delta, or whatnot. Basically just minute upgrades to that item itself, which you can stack on and get a better beam cooler or something like that. And that's similar for any type of upgrade in the game as well. So essentially, you're getting these components to craft these repetitive upgrades you keep finding, and eventually, at least for me, you reach a point where you don't even need the upgrades. You just find a fucking super amazing upgrade randomly that you just happen to stick into your ship, and you're set for life, apparently. So that was my exploration for the game as well. Of course, when you're exploring, there are times where you can find these massive cave systems, but because all of the stuff you need is so readily available, literally a few hundred feet from where you get off on your ship, that going into these cave systems is pointless, because why the fuck would you go there when everything is so abundantly available? You need gas for your ship? Literally land off? There's fucking plutonium everywhere. You need gas for your pulse drive? There's thamium-9? Literally fly outside any planet, there's rocks, crash into them, you get a fuck ton of thamium and whatnot. And if you want to get any kind of gear, you can almost find it in asteroids outside a planet's atmosphere and whatnot too. So in that regard, exploration and even survival for some of these resources is utterly meaningless because they're so abundantly available, at least for me. I don't know how readily available it is for everyone else, but it's readily available for me in my playthrough, and even for my brother, so I guess I'll take 2 save files into account. Now, alongside surviving and exploring, you'll also find these ruins with these languages that you can learn, but of course, going to the ruins, it eventually becomes a chore because the words you learn, there's so many of these words, and only until very later in the game will you be properly translating the other races in the game, the Gek and the WIKI and whatnot. And alongside that, you know, you might come across these, again, the same thing with the ruins, you'll come across these little moral choices which you can make or not. Everything in the game gives you these really weird choices, whether you're breaking into an operational facility or you're going to a ruin, which, of course, it's almost like a Fallout speed check, where if you fail, you get hurt or you don't get a gear item or something like that, but if you succeed, you might learn a new word, or sometimes you'll get these new upgrades, which now at this point in my playthrough, the upgrades that I'm finding are just doubles. I can't even get the upgrades because it tells me that I already have these upgrades, so it's just generating these upgrades that I already have, and that's where I'm at right now. Now, fighting is kind of funny. It's almost non-existent to me. Basically, if you're on the planet, you're fighting these sentinels, or sometimes these predator animals or aliens that are trying to kill you if you get too close. As far as the sentinels go, they're basically these flying drones that if you kill one, they basically alert the other drones around them. Sometimes they'll bring these combat drones, and they're pretty easy to kill, and they're even easier to avoid. Trust me, you can avoid them pretty fucking quickly. I've never died to a sentinel. Sometimes when you're in space, they'll chase you in ships. They're not scary, easy to dodge, easy to kill. And fighting in space is kind of a laughing matter too, because sometimes you'll get fucking bandits attacking you too, right? Like sometimes bandits will randomly scan your ship and they'll try to attack you. And at most, I've ever gotten 3 or 4 bandits attacking me, and it's been laughably easy to kill. Like, the space combat is easy. I'm not asking for space combat where I have to deal with the complexities of Elite Dangerous or fucking Star Citizen, but I remember in the 1.03 patch they said we'd have new aerial moves. I did not see a new aerial move at all. I didn't get anything like that. I didn't get that at all. All it really boils down to is picking your phase beams, lining yourself up with the target, hitting the right trigger, and that's essentially what you do 5 times until an enemy dies. Repeat that over and over again, you kill them all. Sometimes we'll take your shields down, but if you've been excavating the planets properly, you'll have so many resources that you'll just be filling your shield up constantly in a space battle, so it doesn't lead to any fucking tension. The trading system is kind of non-existent. Honestly, I found better trading systems in much more established games. Play Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. Its drug-dealing trading simulator is 1,000,000 times better than this. Play Elite Dangerous. That's 1,000,000 times better than the No Man's Sky trading. For me, No Man's Sky trading is I strip mine a planet of resources, go up to the trade terminals, and sometimes a trade terminal will be like, you're losing 2% of your possible profit, or you're gaining 2%, and it's so goddamn negligible that it doesn't matter, right? You're still making bank. You might find these rare items on a planet which you can basically fucking strip mine for quick cash. There's no point trading with any of the people at the spaceports because you're really just buying shit from them. You're not really profiting off of them. There's no space economy to really worry about, and if there is, it's just not as massive as it was originally foretold. The game has a plot to it, I guess you could say. A plot, I'll say. Where you have to get to the center of the galaxy, and at the center of the galaxy there is this secret that you need to go to. Now, as you go towards the center of the galaxy, there is these other anomalies you can head towards. For example, I don't want to spoil anything, even though there's not much to spoil. You might come across these stations that are housed by these entities, right? Where they're sort of, I guess they're basically entities that document the universe, the Atlas, essentially. And there's 3 paths you can take, according to patch 1.03. And you can take these paths, you can basically go down the Atlas path, or you can go down 2 other paths to get a different ending, or see the universe in a different way, something like that. And the game sort of kind of hyped it up in the patch by saying the writer of Deus Ex was behind one of the entire paths was rewritten. Now, here's the issue. You'll come across these paths, and I've come across a few of them, and the issue is that they might be cool when you come across them, but the story, the points where you come across are so peppered in lightly that it almost doesn't matter. For example, when I spawned into my world, the first Atlas waypoint that you essentially will come across was like 10 fucking jumps away from me. For my brother, it was about 1 or 2 jumps. The thing is, when you're dealing with the game world, it's different progression for everyone. Again, for me, 10 jumps. For my brother, 2 jumps to get to the first Atlas core. And when you get to it, the next Atlas core may be like fucking 20, 30 jumps away. So you have this dead air in between that essentially just, when you're supposed to be getting into the story, when you're supposed to be delving into it, it just becomes nonsense to you. Whenever you come across it, you're like, oh, that's cool. Storyline, nice. That's fucking great. And when it's not there, most of the time, you're like, I could not give a shit. I'm just constantly exploring the same planet. And of course, there is an incentive to exploring. You can get more credits by finding these people, by finding alien life forms and planets, and you can name them, but there's only so many memes you can essentially name after planets, you know what I mean? Where eventually it just becomes a chore. And nowadays I just sort of turn in these planets for credits, and I don't even bother naming them because it's just like, I've never come across any other player's discovery, because again, the world is so big and you're not going to find anybody else easily. But it's just, again, it's just become this giant chore. And, you know, to me, it's like, now I'm basically playing a game of busy work. Now, of course, I wasn't hyped for the game, and I feel like a lot of people that were really hyped for the game essentially ruined it. And that's what hype does. When you hype something up like crazy, you can ruin the fucking experience, which is what has happened to a lot of people. Now, of course, the game has went through numerous other little issues, such as the PC release, which apparently has completely fucked over the PC players. Now, for example, I have a pretty beast rig right over here, you know, GTX 1080, fucking 6th Gen i7. So if it started lagging on this, I'd be a little shocked, but it's not lagging at all. So for me, I don't have an issue with the PC side of it, but I'm primarily playing the PS4 version. It's not that big of a difference. Procedural generation can only do so much. Yeah, you can make planets, you can generate the music, you can generate life forms. But if you don't have anything tying all of those things together, you just have a world full of, you have a large world full of essentially nothing connected together. That's why, to me personally, I'm looking forward to a game like Star Citizen, where at least with Star Citizen, I'm getting a very heavy single player component in the form of Squadron 42. And even though that game itself is also procedurally generated, you also have this thing tying it to a much larger universe. And that's something that No Man's Sky needed, okay? There's only so much of exploration that you can really deal with. It's why when I play open world games, to me, world size doesn't really matter. To me, it matters how the gameplay is handled and how that world is used. It's why I still play games like Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Because for me in that world, I'm still playing it. Yes, it's gotten to a grind now, but at the same time, I still enjoy Fultoning all these soldiers and building up my stuff, because at least the world to me is a little more lively, a little more detailed, and I still feel more progression happening out of it rather than No Man's Sky randomized progression system itself. So, reading through this Reddit article, tying it all back full circle, I've noticed that there's a lot of things in the game that apparently have been taken out or apparently have been changed, and this is a long post on Reddit, by the way. Again, I'm putting this in the comments, not the comments, the description of the video below, where people have said that certain things were removed or certain things were changed, and watching it now, I can't deny it. Things were definitely changed. You know, down to the point where I feel like the actual gameplay that we had seen in the promotional material was probably from a different fucking build. So that's a little weird. I think that's definitely very, very weird. They even have things such as hacking reinforced door or radio chatter or marking with binoculars, which I've actually never ever seen in the game at all. Even the ability to see and play with other players has been debunked by people actively trying to find each other and not being able to see each other, which goes to show you that the multiplayer is just asynchronized anyways. It's not like you can land on a planet and see another player. I haven't seen it yet, and people have debunked it apparently on their ends. I don't know if that's supposed to be fixed later on, if it's a bug, but apparently it's not there. So apparently the game has fallen short of the advertising, and there's two reasons for that. I feel like there is some shady shit going on with Hello Games and Sony, but there's also because people have hyped this game up to an unrealistic standard where they've basically thought this game was the end-all be-all, and it's just a game. And when you hype it up, you have these fucking really high expectations that eventually blow the game up for yourself. Now, I never had high-ass expectations, all right? I didn't even care about the game at all. I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? I waited until it was released, and even then, I still felt disappointed. So again, I don't know how people who've gotten the game, you know, who were really hyped for it feel about it too. Ultimately, I'm going to have to end this video over here. I felt like I went on far too long, but I wanted to get this stuff off my chest. I wanted to talk about it because I like making these videos, and when I say a game is good, I like to say that the game is good out of my own merit. And when it gets boring, I do like to talk about it. I gave Destiny the same shit, and I'm going to give No Man's Sky the same shit too. Not to say that I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy No Man's Sky, but at the same time, I'm giving you all a fair warning when you get this game. It's more of a sightseeing game than it is actually this big giant space game that I felt like the promotional material kind of let it out to be. That being said, we're going to end this video over here. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Let me know what you think of No Man's Sky in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. Tell me if what I said was fine, if something changed, or if I'm a fucking idiot, let me know. This is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.